This is James Upton for Round 8 Boxing, sponsored by Upton Clan Builders, and I'm joined today with Carl Davies. Carl, hi, mate.
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, very good, thank you, mate. Obviously, big fight coming up for you. Titles on the line as well. Just talk to me about the magnitude of this fight for you at this stage of your career. How big is it for you?
Yeah, well, I think it's obviously, as everyone says, every fight's your biggest fight, but this genuinely is my biggest fight, and I think this is the most important fight because this is what's going to really put me where I want to be, and also show to people, it's not just like, you know, a bit of hype or he's doing well. Like I've genuinely gone out and done it, and hopefully start putting me in line, to be in talks of, like the card that's on next week, with with the light heavyweights and looking at them to the end of next year.
With knowing what's at stake and obviously titles eventually will bring more title fights and rankings and things like that, does that bring an added pressure that you've not felt before?
Um, I mean, there's pressure every time because I put pressure on myself. I want to win. It wouldn't matter who was the other side of me, Um, and I think it makes it's less pressure and it's given me more drive, more excitement. To be honest, I've turned the pressure into motivation, and I've just seen a bigger difference, from the past fights where it's given me, I've just upped it that extra level. And I think as the pressure, as I say, starts mounting on, the more motivational mount on, the better I'll become.
Obviously, you and Aaron Birds are both undefeated going into this fight. You mentioned they're using pressure as motivation. How has your mentality and mindset changed now compared to previous fights, if you feel it's changed at all?
Yeah, I just think, something kind of like subconsciously, like I've always trained hard, but you subconsciously switches. And you hear fighters say all the time, you get out of bed for this fight. And I think this is one that's really, and it's not so much because of being Aaron, it's because what's at stake. It could have been anyone that I was fighting. I'm fighting for the belts, not to beat Aaron. Like the win is obviously, but I'm fighting for the belts and what's going to come after them rather than I just want to beat Aaron. Aaron's just the opponent.
Absolutely. Looking at Aaron's style and his record 7-0 versus your own 10-0, what specific tactical challenges do you expect from him, and how have you spent training time preparing for him?
No, I don't really see any. I prepare for it. I'm quite good at adapting. I spar all different styles, and I've let my team watch Aaron. I've had a little look, and I know what he does. And he seems to me, from what I've seen, I mean, he can prove me wrong, but he does the same thing every fight. And I mean, I don't judge a book by his cover. I'm expecting the best Aaron Bird on the night, and but you know, we are prepared for the best Aaron Bird, and I think I have a game plan that will cause problems for him, and he might not think so, but obviously he's going to find out on the night as well.
You mentioned a moment ago about it's a fight you get out of bed for. It's a fight that motivates you. Talk to me about that, and because some people look at it and say, well, boxing's a dangerous sport. Why would you not be motivated enough to go into other fights? What is it about these title fights that bring the best out in fighters?
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's hard to explain, about being. It's just that extra drive where, you train so hard for every single fight, but that last little second where you think I'm a little bit tired, you just remember, this is this is my promotion. An extra few punches around, an extra shave a couple seconds off them sprint times, everything, put an extra kilometre on that run just because what is you've worked so hard to get there and you've hit the point where you want to do that bit extra to not let all that hard work that you've done already previously, go to waste. So it's more of just I've worked so hard to get here, and now that I'm here, I feel like it's time, to even up it even more. And I'm sure, I might look back at this camp and when I've boxed next time, and think, what, I'm put even more into the next time. As I train more and more, obviously, and get used to these camps, I'm starting to realize how far I can push myself.
Absolutely. Yeah, so almost those everyone says it's those little 1%. If you improve by 1%, you're 1% better than you was yesterday, etc. Than your last warm up, your last sprint, as you mentioned there. Have you noticed yourself pushing yourself further this camp?
Yeah, and just pushing on. I've just been like literally every session been checking. I've been probably checking too much, but checking how I've done. Um, putting it to previous sessions, like checking, oh, well, I did this a little bit there, and and start taking real like accountability in the training and documenting it, and then I know now where I am and how I feel in each day, and I feel like it's just put me a level. I can just feel that I've put that level above now.
Obviously, this fight was meant to happen earlier in the year. It was postponed. You was involved in a car accident on the way to the weigh-in. Firstly, a crazy situation for you to be involved in. What was that like being so close to fight night?
And I think it was devastating, and like I said, I still ended up going to watch the show, and you can ask anyone there. Like I walked in the building, and I just broke down in tears because I just saw the whole show, and I just thought this was supposed to be my night. But obviously, I would have boxed. I still tried to make the way in. I was told I wasn't allowed. You know, I was straight out of the ambulance into the car, ready to you know my nan come and pick me up to take me to the weigh-in, and he said I couldn't. And I mean, I think that's probably given me a little bit of added thing this time. Knowing how easily something can be taken away from you. So I think that's just given me even more drive. And obviously everything happens for a reason. Now I'm boxing in my hometown, so I think I put it behind me very quickly and just got on with the new dates.
Obviously, the whole experience was, it could potentially have been traumatic. Could have been a lot worse than it was. But also, as mentioned, fight night was snatched away from you at the very last minute. And you say that how emotional you got when you went to attend fight night, thinking it should have been you in there. Had that experience changed your outlook on this fight and future fights?
Yeah, because I can remember getting there and obviously being upset, and even Pat, promoter telling me, he was supposed to fight for a world title twice, and it got pulled in within, days and weeks, and and it's keeping that mindset that anything can happen, and I think it was a bit, and I felt bad for Aaron as well. There was two fighters on the night that lost a chance, so I felt really guilty, even though it was not my fault, but you do feel a little bit like, oh, people bought tickets ready to come, it all was on my shoulders, even though it wasn't. But I think that's what really, like I'm saying, gave me an extra drive to think, you know what, like it could have been worse. Everyone was okay. I've been given another chance, and it's time to take this chance, even more.
You mean just this time around, it's now in your hometown, Stoke-on-Trent. How does that feel to be fighting at home?
It's good. Everyone's glad that I don't got to drive to no weigh-ins. It's down the road. So, but no, yeah, it's good, and I think it gives me a real chance for people in Stoke to also see me and me create a fan base here. Whereas I've been out of town a lot, so no one's really seen me around. The local people, and I've sold tickets to, I dropped tickets off to people that I've never met before, spoke to, saying I've been really wanting you to box in Stoke. So it's a bit surreal, for random people to buy tickets. I've sold tickets to half of the co-op staff up the road from me, in the shop. So it seems like it's all happened for a reason.
So I bet Joe will be wrapping you up in cotton wool, taking you down to that way and making sure you walk down there.
Yeah, it's only a walking distance, so I might just walk.
I want to go on to a bit of your sparring. Obviously, you've had some very high level sparring. We spoke before about sparring at Anthony Yarde. He's got a very big fight coming up. Just wanted to talk to you about that for a moment, if that's okay. Obviously, Anthony Yarde is known for his speed and his power. So I want to ask you, were there any specific moments in the rounds you shared with him that stood out to you and almost a bit of an eye opener in terms of the high level in boxing?
Yeah, I mean, it's more of myself. Like I know, obviously, how good Ant is. I've done a lot with him, and it's more just I always think to myself after, like I've been asked, I was asked to go down, and this is year on year that I keep getting asked and keep coming, and the rounds keep going up. May have started at 6, we've done 15 before, you know. It was 12 rounds the other day, and I just think I'm now mixing it with people. That's his biggest fight right now, and he isn't. He's training properly, and I'm in there. So that gives me confidence, and this is what I mean. Like I've feel like with the sparring I've done, I'm sparring Lyndon a lot, who's got a big fight. I was sparring George Liddard, who obviously just gone and won the Commonwealth and British. Yeah, so I feel like I've really put the work in. I spar Callum Simpson all the time as European champion, and I feel like sparring these people really gives me confidence every time because I keep getting asked back and it keeps getting work and I keep doing better and better. And I think that is just something that keeps just filling me of confidence, ready for these fights. And I mean, if Aaron is as good as Callum, Lyndon, and Ant, then that's fair enough. But I don't know if he is, and I know how well I do with them, and he might think the same. But this is what's giving me this kind of confidence, whereas I know where I'm at, and I've been tested, and I'm looking to just put it all on show next week.
I was going to ask you about it. Do you feel that it gives you an advantage heading against somebody like Aaron Bird, who, with no disrespect to him, he's not done what Callum Simpson has, or Lyndon Arthur has, or Anthony Yarde has in his pro career so far?
Yeah, because you have to go with. I can only talk from what I know. Do you know? Obviously, on the night, obviously, I'm not stupid. I've been, I know what. I'm not expecting him to be anything. I'm expecting the best version, and if he's not the best version that I expect, then that's great. And if he's even better, then that's fair enough to him. So I'm never underestimating. But obviously, the fact of the matter is, he isn't won a European title. He's not won a British title. He's not won a world title. He's not boxed for multiple world titles. And these boys have, and I'm in there, and I'm thinking I'm competing pretty well. So obviously, yes. And I don't know who we spot. I don't watch what he does, and he might be doing the same thing. But I've done it, and I know I've done it. And for me to know that I've done it, that's where it's coming from, the confidence.
You mentioned obviously it gives you confidence knowing that you're holding your own against these level fighters. They're asking you back, so you're obviously doing well, and then you're obviously helping them learn as well at the top level. But have you also seen weaknesses in yourself that you've had to improve on by sparring these guys?
Um, I wouldn't even say weaknesses. I'd just say new things that they teach me. Whereas I probably pick them up subconsciously. Through the levels, and obviously when I spar people that might have not sparred that level, they pick up off me as well. And I think I'm more of a sponge, and I learn, and I just take stuff from them, and I really try to think why are they doing this or how have they stopped me from doing this, and I think that's how I really learn. And um, yeah, I would say instead of it being weaknesses, they just teach me stuff that I didn't know before. If that makes sense.
No, absolutely. You say about learning. What's the biggest bit of advice that you've received from these guys?
Do you know what? Just keep going and stay focused. That is biggest, I think. And that's what I say, without going technical, the keeping focus and keep training hard is what I've seen with all of them. And they all train hard and don't let anything, you have bad days and good days, but if you keep working hard, and keep on the track that you're on, it comes good.
And obviously, I mentioned about Anthony Yarde, big fight coming up against David Benavidez. Just summarise for me Anthony Yarde's strengths and weaknesses whilst you've been in camp with him, and where do you think he can exploit Benavidez?
Well, I think like obviously the big thing is he can punch, he's a big puncher and I think Benavidez is prone to getting hit. I mean, he's a very good fighter himself, and I don't think it's no easy fight for either of them. But I'm really looking forward to it, and obviously, I hope Ant wins, and I think they've both got a chance. They both can punch. They're both going to come and look to throw. And I think one thing that we've seen with Ant is he's got a good defense as well. And we also saw he's got heart, and I think he's going to go out there, and I'm going to think he's going to give Benavidez a real good fight, and I think he could catch him.
Do you think that fight ends in a stoppage either way?
I think it's if it doesn't end top, you go 12 rounds, going to be a great 12-round fight. And I think they both got the same, kind of mindset if they're going in there, and it's going to be, as they've been saying, a shootout.
No, absolutely. Well, Carl, thank you very much for your time, mate. Really appreciate it. All the best of luck for your fight as well.
I appreciate it. Thank you.